Okay, good evening, everybody. So we wanted to say thank you very, very much to our dear friends, Eitan and his wife, Bezrat Hashem, that they should have a lot of semachot in this house. Bezrat Hashem, Melachana Tzlacha. They should blind it up, Shulchan Melachim, with a sphinge, with everything. Kadosh Baruch Hu should always give you a lot of bracha. For the Refuah Shlema for Eliyahu Chayim Hanavi ben Tita Esther. שיהיה לו רפואה שלמה, רפואת גוף, also לתינוק יצא בן סרסרה ועדל מרים בת מיכל עליה ושמעון בן תמר. אוקיי? שיהיה להם רפואה שלמה, רפואת גוף, בעזרת השם. אוקיי. So, I wanted to speak tonight. We're actually going to continue with something very interesting, which is what do children really crave? What do children really want? So I'm going to start with a story, which is a very interesting story, which goes as follows. There was a boy that he was expelled from one school, and therefore he went to another school, expelled from that one, until finally he gets to a school, which basically it's a type of yeshiva, where they get all the boys that were expelled from the different yeshivot, they come to this yeshiva. So imagine he's sent into this impossible class. You have all these boys from, didn't want to use that word, but if you're already saying it, yes, right? The rejects from all the different yeshivot, and they got a rookie Rabbi. A rookie Rabbi means a novice, a new rabbi that comes on the job. Usually those are the ones which are the miskenim that they have to go through the entire thing. So what happens is the Rabbi comes, and the boy comes, and he starts laughing to his face, doesn't listen to him, puts his feet up in the air, So the Rebbe is going crazy, he just doesn't know what to do. So the Rebbe is desperate, he's overwhelmed, he comes and he goes and he asks his rabbi, Rabbi Yaakovson, listen, what am I supposed to do exactly? So he went and he says, listen, you know what? Send him to me and let's talk. He said, no problem. So he goes to him, and Rabbi Yaakovson right away, he wants to find out what's with this child. So the child right away, the boy comes and he says, listen, a professional diagnosed me, and the professional came and he told me, I can't accept rules, limits, authority, so I'm incapable. So, what do you want me to do? So, Rabbi Yaakovson says, wow, if a professional actually told you that, so you're correct. So technically, you can't obey, you can't do all these things, right? I should throw you out. But there's a problem. If I throw you out, then where are you going to go? Why? Because you're already in a place where basically, there's nowhere else to go. But I shouldn't have accepted you if that's really what's going on. So what are we going to do? So he already realized, and he did his homework beforehand, because that's the most important part of the job. And he realized that this boy was traumatized because he wanted to go out to work, and his parents were forcing him to come and to learn. And this was always at a very young age. So what did he do? Rabbi Yaakovson thinks, and he says, you know what? I've got an idea. He says, you don't want to be here. We can't really accept you here. I've only got one solution for you. He says, what's that? I'm going to get you a job. So the boy thinks, he goes, what? You're going to get me a job? What, you're actually going to pay me? He says, of course I'm going to pay you. So he says, okay, so what? He says, yeah, let's take minimum wage. Let's start. And, let's start speaking about a boy wants to know how much mullah is coming in from the beginning. So he says, okay, man. So let's start. So he comes, he starts speaking about the prices, 10 shekels an hour, how many hours a day, 5 days a week, 200 shekels. So the boy is thrilled. But all of a sudden, he comes and he says, yes, but there's one problem. He says, what? He says, room and board. He goes, what do you mean by that? He says, every student that's here, right, they get room and board. What? So he goes, so what do you want me to do? He says, room and board. So he says, let's do a calculation. How much do you owe me for coming and what? And actually doing the room and board, right? That's going to be the first thing that you're going to need. So he comes and he says, okay, fine. So they take the cheapest price that you could get. And basically the boy was going to be making 20 shekels, right, for working the entire week, right, the entire time. So he comes and he says to the rabbi, listen, it's not fair. He says, if you would be a student, right, so this is the price, you understand? You get all this for free. But if you're not a student, you have to pay. So he says, okay. So he says, you know what? I'm going to be nice to you. Even though you don't really deserve it, I'm going to let you keep a third of it. So let's say it's going to be 60 shekel or whatever, and 90 shekel, whatever. You're going to keep a third of the amount, even though really be'emet, I should You should really get 20 shekels after working the entire week. I'm going to give you 1/3 of the entire amount without actually causing anything. He says, okay, fine. So let's start. So he says, so where are you going to work? He's going to work in the kitchen. So he takes him to the kitchen. He shows him, and that's it. And the boy goes off to work. All of a sudden, Rav Yaakovson comes and he calls the teacher, the Rabbi, and he tells him, listen, I want you to come with me. He says, okay, fine. So he comes, he brings him to the kitchen. Right, they go to the cafeteria. He says, we're gonna go to the dining room. No, they're gonna start throwing things at me. Don't worry about it. Come with me. They come, sits down. He calls over the boy. He says, please make me a coffee. He says, okay. The boy comes, makes him a coffee. Right, the Rebbe's looking at him like, what's going on over here? Yeah, he's making him a coffee. This boy was just throwing things at the Rebbe. What, making him coffees. What does that mean? So he comes, he tastes it. He says, this tastes terrible. He says, really? But why? So he thought to himself, if I'm going to say right now that it's going to be too sweet, or it's not sweet enough, what's he going to do? Just bring sugar and that's it. He says, it's too sweet. So he says, okay, fine. So should I make you another one? He says, yes. So okay. He goes, runs back into the kitchen. He makes it as bitter as could be. And he brings it out, and he brings it. And now he says, okay, fine, perfect. Very good. The Rebbe comes and he whispers in his ear, this is not the same boy, no, it's his twin. It's impossible. He says, I want you to try it. He says, what do you mean I'm going to try it now? He says, yeah, go over to the table over there and tell him that it's dirty and show it to him. The Rebbe is already waiting that, he's going to get something. He goes over to the side, he comes and he says, by the way, over here, it's dirty. He says, where? They are. Runs inside, gets a rag, comes out. He cleans the table and he goes in. So he asks the Rebbe, he says, what did you do? So he comes and he tells him like this, something very, very interesting. Right? Huh? You think that it's paid, right? Right? He says, obviously it's not the same kid, there's something wrong over here. So what exactly happened over here? So he comes and he says like this. He says, there's something very interesting. I changed his mindset. What does that mean, I changed his mindset? More than any boy wants to rebel, he wants to obey. Okay? Again, more than any boy he wants to rebel, he wants to obey, because deep down, every human being, they crave authority. Which means deep down, every single person, they want that there should be an authority. They want that there should be somebody over them, telling them. So the Maharal actually says that the reason why is because a person's neshama always looks for a tzura. He looks that there should be a form, there should be something here. And therefore, that's what they're always craving for, instructions. So the problem though is that the instinct to obey was broken and it was misdirected, which means that we have to come and we have to channel it back to put it back to place. So now where does the Torah psychology come in? So the Torah psychology comes in and the Torah tells us as follows. Hashem created two different forces in every single human being. The force number one is the force of many, of rebellion. Right? Lamrot. People naturally want to rebel. There's no such thing as someone that does not rebel. Every human being has a rebellion from within them. It's like a nimrod, something which is coming to rebel. However, though, and we're going to explain why is that important. The second force, though, is of obedience, that we want to listen. And he says, and that one is actually even deeper and stronger than the drive to come and to rebel. Now, why is it that we need rebellion? Very, very simple. If we didn't have rebellion, so what would happen? Imagine right now, 5 years down the line, somebody wants to give this boy drugs. Or somebody wants to come and they want to trick him to do something. What's he going to do? If he didn't have this rebellion which is built in already within him, he wouldn't know how to rebel. He would only listen. So therefore, it was needed for the human being in order to be able to withstand all the different trials that we have throughout our lives, that what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to be able to say no. That's called a form of a rebellion. But we just have to learn how to channel that. Why do we learn how to channel that? The Torah says, right, barati yetzer hara, the barati lo Torah tavlin. What does that mean? I created the yetzer hara. Now we know the yetzer hara is a very strong force. He's very, very strong, the yetzer hara. But I created to the yetzer hara the Torah, which the Torah is a tavlin. What does everyone usually understand? Torah tavlin means a what? The Torah is the
thing against it.
The thing against it. What would you say in English?
The antidote.
Antidote. The remedy, the antidote against it, correct? I once heard an incredible yesod. Why does it call it a tavlin? What's tavlin? Spices. Why spices? Tell me, it's a trufa. Why does it call it a spice?
Because meat without spices is not tasty.
And therefore?
So he's the meat and we're the spice.
It doesn't say you're the spice. You're kulo Torah, so you're the spice. But usually it says the Torah's the spice.
Maybe instead of it changing the full item itself, it's just adding something to it to make it something better.
Very good. The tavlin, the condiments, all that it does is it appreciates what it already has. You're not completely changing it. Nobody comes, right, and is going to take the condiments, which is the salt, pepper, this, all the different, spices, and is going to change completely what you want. If you want something salty, just get a salty piece of meat. You're not going to get something which is completely sweet and then add 100 different types of condiments to make it salty, or the vice versa. Which means that what the Torah is trying to teach us is that all you have to do is you have to channel it. And if you're going to come and you're going to channel it in the right order, in the right way, so then it's going to be okay. But if not, so then it's going to be a problem. Now, where is this exactly? This is all rooted in what we already started speaking about in Naaseh V'Nishma. The craving for structure. What does that mean, Naaseh V'Nishma? We need to always, to do a chazara in this, to always review that the way to do it is that first we have to understand that we have to do. We have an action. And only afterwards are we going to come and listen to it. We're going to understand what is happening only afterwards, but only afterwards. Now with this concept, we're going to continue for the next one, right? The next one is something which is actually incredible, which had to do with that they sent him to a prison to become a warden, which means he went to a prison. There's a bachur, right? He was a Panovich Bachur, right? A bachur, think about it, not married boy, coming from Panovich, and he got a new job at the jail, right? I'm sure it was a very interesting job. Now in the jail, right, the way that it works is that it's not pleasant, right? So he goes to the jail, and what he does is that he wants to find out how to work out everything that's going in the jail. What happened was that the previous warden, right, they went and they threw him off the three floors, right, and he broke his back, and therefore he got his pension early and he was stuck in the hospital. So he went to the hospital to visit him, and the guy comes and he tells him, listen, I'm going to give you a good word, a piece of advice. You're going to go to this jail, you think that you're the boss. I'm going to teach you a lesson. Really, the boss, his name is Yossi. Yossi is the boss. If you make him happy, everything works. And if you don't make him happy, right, you'll end up much worse than what I am. Because I actually made him happy, and look what happened to me. So imagine what's going to happen to you. So you come and he says, I don't like that. That's not called Chinuch. What does that mean that he's the boss? Right? We all know who's the boss. So he says, listen, if not, don't even bother taking the job. So he says, okay. He goes to the Shiva of Slobodka, and he asks the altar of Slobodka, what am I supposed to do with this boy, with this Yossi? And then he comes up with a plan. And listen to the plan. He goes to the jail on day number 1. He takes a big loudspeaker. Right now, you have to remember that this is a bachur, right? That means he's not even married, right? And usually he was going to actually sleep there. Anybody else, they never slept there. They used to make sure they were out. But every single group of table, they had another person that he was like one of these wardens, one of these people that were in charge, because if something would happen, right, they had to subdue the people, they had to calm everyone down. So what happens is he gets on the megaphone, he gets on the loudspeaker, and he says, Rabotai, I want you to all understand as follows. I just became the head of the jail, I'm the new warden, and by naturally, what happens is that people want to rebel, right? They want to test authority. So I'm going to tell you that nobody's going to be able to disobey what I'm going to say now. And therefore, what I'm telling everybody right now is, get ready, because in half an hour, we're going to go swimming. Now this Yossi is already up, right? And he's going to go, he's going to go take the guy down. And what happens is that all of a sudden he screams and he says, okay, fine. What happens if I don't want to listen to you? So he says, you better disobey, you better listen to me, because if not, then you're going to stay here. So he stops. He doesn't know what to do anymore. Now why? He did his homework and he realized that there's one thing that Yossi loved most. What was that? Swimming. So now all of a sudden, Yossi is put up with a dilemma. Why? If he listens to the new warden, he just accepted upon himself authority. He's the big boss. How is he accepting upon himself authority? Now, if he doesn't listen, he doesn't go swimming, but he loves swimming. So what's he going to do? Now, how did this rabbi know that Yossi loves swimming? What happened was that this Yossi, how did he become the boss of the jail? He became the boss of the jail because it happened once that they went and they told him that he wasn't able to go swimming, right? They went and he got into a fight. They had to have 3 people holding him down. And what happened is that he actually broke through. He started running. The bus already started leaving. He ran after the bus. He jumped and he got caught onto a ladder. And he was going for 60 kilometers until they went to Ramle, wherever it was, this place, on the back of a bus, right? And that when he got there, he went and he told the warden that was on the bus, if you go in the pool, you're not coming out. That's when he became the boss of the jail, right? Now this guy now is put in a dilemma. Why? He doesn't know what to do. So he's a little bit shocked. What's he gonna do? Is he gonna listen or not gonna listen? So what happens is that this rabbi comes and he's going to do now another test, right? The second that he comes and he tells that, he leaves. He was already going to start laughing because the boy didn't know what to do with himself. This Yossi, he didn't know what to do with himself. These are juveniles that they're wild, right? These are very dangerous boys, and you've got a problem. So all of a sudden he goes outside, and what happens is the boy gets to the bus, and he still doesn't know what to do. So he says, Yossi, get on the bus. He turns and he says, but what happens if I don't want to get on the bus? So he says, so then you're staying here with me. So now he doesn't know what to do again. And he says, I don't understand what's going on. So he says, Yossi, get on the bus. So the boys, finally he goes, you know what? I'm going to get on the bus. But I'm getting on the bus, not because I'm going to listen to you, because I want to go on the bus. So then he comes and he tells everybody, you guys should know something incredible. Everybody told me that Yossi was a loser, that he would never come and accept authority. Now, not only is he accepting authority, now he wants to go on the bus. The guy turns white. He doesn't know what. But he basically just goes on and that's it. Now he realizes that he already won. So what does he do? The rabbi comes and what he does is that for the next few months, he comes and he does something incredible. He goes and all of a sudden there's a boy that is the worst boy in the jail. And what happens is that he comes and he brings in 30 psychologists. And he tells them, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk into a place where I don't even know them. They don't know me. And you're going to see that on the first action, I'm going to take the roughest boy and I'm going to make him listen. The psychologist says, this guy is crazy. Well, where's he coming from? Okay, prove it. It's impossible. He says, okay, fine. He goes inside. And all of a sudden, when he goes inside, he tells everybody to sit down. There's one boy that he gets up and he's going to go for him. He comes and he says, he tells him his name, whatever his name is, Chaim, right? He says, do like this. So Chaim says, Ma. They're looking at him, he's doing a monkey, like, what's he doing? So then they come and they tell him, what did you just do? He says, very, very simple. What I just did was, I reprogrammed him. Why? Children, when you come and you tell them a certain action, they become accustomed to rebelling. So you tell them, take a shower, I don't want to take a shower. Go to bed, I'm not going to go to bed. Do this, I'm not going to do it. If you tell one of these children that they're always accustomed to breaking rules, if you tell them to do something out of the norm, something that they've never been accustomed to doing, what you just do is you go back to the status quo. You break the barrier. Why? Because they only know that I only say no to what I'm accustomed to. If you're going to give them another case which they're not accustomed to, what happens? Automatically they go back to being the way that they were supposed to be. So therefore, what we have to start learning is that you could take the worst, whether it's going to be a child or anything that you want, and everybody craves authority. Everybody craves and they want to do something and they want to become much better. So now, this is actually based upon the Meiri, where he says that if a person removes all their emotional baggage tied to the previous commands, then the Yetzer Hara has no resistance mechanism left. Which means that many times we have a baggage. So therefore, I already know that I don't want to go to sleep. So I'm going to tell my daddy and mommy, no, I don't want to go to sleep. And you're going to tell them go to sleep, and you're going to say no, and you continue going until finally they have to read a book, and they have to do this, and they have to do another 20 million things because they just don't want to do that. But if you're going to tell them something that they've never done before, automatically the step one is they're going to listen, because that is why, and that's what they want to do deep inside of them. Now what happens is that therefore what we have to understand is that there's no such thing as a child that does not accept authority, right? It does not exist in human nature. And therefore what does exist is that the children are taught by us to resist, okay? Many times we're inconsistent, and therefore when we start to bargain, to threaten, to bribe, negotiate, or explain, or we get angry, that's when we lose. And that's what's happening nowadays. Which means that we are training them to rebel. And why are we training them to rebel? Because by nature they shouldn't be rebelling. But the fact that we are treating them this way, that's what actually comes and is making them rebel. So how are we supposed to come and we're going to change everything? So we're going to give a formula. And the formula for teaching the child is ikviut, kifut, and ragua. Ikviut means persistence or consistency. What does that mean? I'm going to come and I'm going to give a command. But this command, I never back down. No matter what will happen, I will not back down. So for example, right? It doesn't mean that, you know what? You're too tired, so I'm going to do it for you. Or you know what? We're running late. Forget about it. Yeah? Or you don't have to do it anymore. It doesn't exist. You never back down on a command. You gave a command, it stays there. It will never change. Because the second that you change, you lost. You're not a kvi anymore. You have to be consistent. And they know that they're able to bend you. So therefore, you have to come and you have to be, right, persistent. I came and I gave you a command. It's not going to change. Right? That's the way it is. That's going to be rule number one. Number two, right, is going to be the kifut. Kifut is the strength. The strength means that I have to have a strong posture, tone, right? Presence. What does that mean? I don't show that I'm weak. If you show that you're weak, so therefore it's not going to help out anything. Because why would they ever listen to you if you're weak?
They're very cunning, dude.
No? Oh, 1 second? Yeah? No matter how big you are,
I know.
right? Sometimes, right, they get the best of you, correct? So therefore, it has nothing to do with the size. It has to do with what you're giving over, right? So therefore, right, that was the second one. The third one is ragua, to be calm. Which one? Yeah, take him outside. Do you know that was a story that happened in the first shiur?
What?
The rabbi went and he said that you have to be very, very strong with your children, right? He didn't realize that he was a judo champion. So he went and he sent his son to the hospital, right? I hope it wasn't the same thing and you're giving me a story of two different chairs, no? Fine, okay, but I remember. He told you though, ragua. Ragua means you have to be calm, right? Calm means, right? Calm. Now why does it have to be calm exactly? Why does a person have to be calm? So the way to understand this is something incredible, right? Does everybody know that we are very egocentric when we grow up, and we never actually grow up, right? There was a famous saying that I remember seeing this always on the back of a big, like it was like a pickup truck or whatever it is. It says, "We don't grow up, we just get bigger toys." Right? What does that mean? We don't actually grow up, but really be'emet.
We always love cars in India.
And then it just goes on. You know, you start with the little ones and then continue going. What happens is as follows, right? Every single one of us, we have a 5-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 20-year-old, and a 30-year-old, and we continue going until, right, inside of us. And it doesn't actually leave us. Now, why is it important to have this inside of us? The reason why it's important to have all these ages inside of us is because in every stage of life, you have a situation where we have to use it. So sometimes we actually act like a little tiny child, and really by men, we're supposed to be an adult. So obviously, if we're going to be in our 50s, we're not going to play, right, with our grandchildren as if we're a 50-year-old. We have to go on 4, just like the Amoraim did, and we're going to be playing as if we're a 6-year-old or a 10-year-old, because we have to actually play with them according to their age. But that means it's within us, and it doesn't actually leave us. It's within our incense, right? It's instincts inside of us. But if it's going to be that we're going to be playing with them, and then you need, right, your wife to be babysitting because you're both 12-year-olds now playing, so then that's a problem then, because that means we already went down to the level that 1 second, right? Now we have a problem. So therefore, what happens is that the job of the chinuch is that, number one, we have to work on ourselves. Why do we have to work on ourselves? Because if we're not going to give over the strength of an adult that's within us, our children are never going to feel the security, whether it's going to be the Yirat Shamayim that we spoke about, or everything else, because it's another child that's with them. So many times what's going to happen is that we have to actually understand that we have to be very, very careful in how we act, because according to how we act, that's going to affect our chinuch of our children. So we'll start with one, right? This is a first grade classroom, right? Imagine, how old are they in first grades? 6, 7, right? I think it's even 6, no? 5, 6, you probably even. So whichever one it is, whether it's 5, 6, 6, 7, depends where it is. The birthdays, fine. What happens is that the teacher comes and she says, everybody goes out to recess. No problem, you go out to recess. One rule, you don't go back inside for nothing. So therefore, there was a child, right? A little girl that she comes. She wants to go back inside. Why? She forgot her snack. The teacher says, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. So she starts whining. No, but I really want to go back inside. And she comes with another girl. She says, no, but Mora, please, you have to let her. She forgot the snack, and they continue going. Comes a third girl, and she says, but I don't understand. The Mora is not going to budge. She told you that she's not going to come and she's not going to let you go inside. She's not going to let you go inside. So the first girl says, what are you talking about? My mommy, when I whine enough, she lets me go back inside. She lets me do what I want. So here, right, the Mora comes, and inside of her she's laughing because she just learned the parents of the 2 different girls. Right? And she just realized who she's dealing with. Nowadays though, right, it's more tragic because it's actually much more than that, because the majority of the parents are going to bend in and they're going to, to cave in, as if to say. But when they're caving in, that's when we fail. Because that means that if we're going to come and we're going to cave in and we're going to let them, right, as if to say that they're going to do whatever they want, so then that's it. We've gotten rid of anything to do with obedience, and we've lost. So therefore, it's very, very important for us to understand that we have to be very, very strong and not change what we already decided. Okay, that's going to be the one that we said about already from the beginning, of what? Of being ikvi, right? Ikvi, persistence. We're not going to change. They could say whatever they want. We gave a command. The command's a command. We're not going to back down. Okay, that's going to be the number one. Now, why do we say that it has to be, right, that every single parent has to be very, very, it has to be inside of them, this entire concept? He says, very, very important. He says, there's no human being that's not going to accept authority if it's going to be persistent and strong and calm. Now, why is it that they need authority? So last year we gave 6 reasons, if you remember. And the 6 reasons, we'll do a very, very quick chazara. We said, number 1, you need a functional home, which means that in order for the home to function, you need that there should be strength in the home, and therefore you need authority. Yirat Shamayim. And last week we gave the famous story about only a person that has authority, right, then they could relay it back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Because remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in this world the parents to make a replica of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If we fear our parents, we're going to fear Hashem. If we respect our parents, we're going to respect Hashem. If we do not, so then all of a sudden we cannot respect, right? And we cannot fear. Because if I don't fear my parents, so how am I going to fear Hashem? It just doesn't make sense. I have to fear authority. And once I fear the authority, that authority is my parents, now I'm going to fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is the Yirat Shamayim that we spoke about, right? The conflicts, the majority of conflicts are going to stop because, again, they're going to listen automatically. It brings self-confidence. It's going to stop anxiety. And something which is very interesting is a cognitive dissonance. And this is a tool which we're going to explain today. This is something very, very interesting. there's a psychology which people automatically come and they translate. So I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've, Bezrat Hashem, that you'll never know, but there's many cases of abuse. Did you ever realize that the majority of cases of abuse cases, they will always come and feel that we're talking about the victims, that they deserved to be abused. They will always feel that there was something wrong with them. Now, why is that? Why is it that there was a problem with them? Maybe there was no problem with them. But rather, there's something which is very deep inside the neshama, which basically it's going to be that I have to obey. I have to listen. Now, if it's going to be that something's wrong, so if they're perfect, that means I'm wrong. There's something wrong with me. And therefore they have to make up this sheker, they have to make up something false in order to answer up, why did it happen to me? Why is it? It must be that I am A, B, C, D, and that's what happened. And that's why it happened. And that's why many times they don't come forward, and that's why many times they, and it's very difficult then afterwards to bring them out of it, because you have to actually teach them, no, really, Be'emet, there's nothing wrong with you. It was just somebody took advantage of you, and then by automatically, you went on the defensive, and this is what you're putting out on yourself. And what happens is like this. A child, right, he wants to obey, but he wants to rebel. We already said that the obeying is stronger than rebelling. But what's going to happen in a case where they want to obey, but they want to get you angry? That's where they win. Which means, many times the child will come and he said, I got him mad, or I got mommy mad. Why? Because the second that she loses her cool, right, or the second, so they won. Now, even though they did it at the end, they won. Why? Because they got you to act like them. Because if you're going to be screaming, right, so then you're like the 2-year-old that's jumping around and doing it. So therefore, what happens is that all of a sudden, right, that's it, there's nothing left. So you have to understand, right, how important it is not to come and not to actually raise the voice, as they say.
Lose your cool.
Lose the cool. There was a mother that she was known for her temper. So I don't know if she was Moroccan, Tunisian, Algerian, whichever one that it is, right? So she used to lose her temper. So she was always screaming. So what happened was, she was a mother of 4. She wasn't abusive, but she was overwhelmed. So obviously there's a lot of things going on. And all she needed was a little bit of something, and she had it. So what happens is that the screaming, right? He went and he says, screaming is the language of equals. Screaming is the language of equals. What does that mean? When I scream, it means that they're not actually listening to you. They're just listening because you're screaming. I don't want to hear you scream, so I'm just going to listen to you. But really, by a minute, it does not mean that I'm accepting authority. Because somebody that has an authority does not need to raise their voice. They could be very, very calm, and that's all that they have to do, but they don't have to actually scream. So what happens? So what happens is that she comes and she says, you know what? I'm going to accept upon myself for 90 days not to scream.
I tried.
Huh? You tried many times. Huh?
90 seconds.
I tried.
90 seconds.
Fine. I see et chataya ani maskir hayom. I see why, but why is it always the women that are answering here? They're always there's something.
The men
Huh?
already-
The mama 4. Okay,
No,
I brought an example of woman. Huh?
The men have no more voice left.
Okay, fine.
But the mom of 5, you don't need to raise your voice.
Okay, fine. The mama 5 is more calm. So listen. So what happens is she comes and she says, fine, I'm going to accept them on myself. I'm not going to scream. So the first week, torture. They come, they spill the cereal. They slam the doors. They're always fighting, ignoring directions. But she stays committed. Week 3 was even worse. They come and they start sensing that the old mommy, she disappeared. So what's going on? So
Crazy.
they continue going and they keep on testing her.
They built the house.
Yeah, they keep on testing her, right? They're testing her again and again and again. Nothing's working. In week 5, her 8-year-old daughter comes home from school, throws her backpack on the floor and shouts, I'm not putting it away. Yeah, I'm not putting it away. So she takes a deep breath,
And with 60
She
months,
turns.
with 60 months,
Yeah, she looks at her daughter in her eyes, and she says in a low, steady voice, Leah, hang up your backpack. Leah freezes. She's staring angry, right, strangely at her mother. She's expecting, threats, explosions, this, that.
The
Nothing.
Wolverine to come out.
Yeah.
We don't have
She,
Leah.
what one? That's why I purposely chose Leah. Yeah. So what happens? Pick it up. She becomes flustered. She goes, hangs up her backpack, and now she crawls into her mother's bed. She crawls into her mother's bed, and she says, "You're nicer when you don't scream."
Oh, that's so cute.
So she laughed and she says, "You're nicer when you listen." Yeah. So he says, "You're nicer when you listen." They both smiled. By day 90, she realized that it didn't only change the house, it changed everything. But now, why exactly is that? You understand? You guys think that it's actually just because of the story of Leah, but there's actually many more. Children, they come and when they obey, right? They think that they don't want also emotions. So he says there was a father, his name was Yoni. He was working with a coach to improve his discipline. So again, he's struggling with his son. He's got a temper like a small hurricane. One night, his son, I don't want to mention the name because two people are here with the same name. So he refused to shower.
That was a hard one.
Very difficult. Yeah, so what happens? He comes in one night, he doesn't want to shower. Screaming, kicking, slapping. Again, usually he would explode back. This time, calm, non-negotiable. He comes and he tells them, right, go shower. He says, stop telling me what to do. He says, go to shower. He says, no. He continues going. It's not going to help him anything. So for 5 minutes, it continues going. He's shouting at his father, and his father is just not moving, not budging. What happens is, all of a sudden, he stopped the screaming. Mid-word, he stared at his father like he was saying, and he says, you're different. He didn't even answer. He just says, you're not fighting me. He says, no, you're not scared of me anymore? Nothing. The child is telling his father, you're not scared of me? What does that mean? Look what's going on. It means that we actually realize that the little children are actually, we always say that children are smart, but we didn't realize that they were that smart, that they're coming and they're, twisting us around their fingers. But completely that. He turns around, goes, takes a shower. That night he comes, and what happened was that he starts crying, right? And he says, I waited for 10 years for you to show up. What does that mean? For 10 years, he was waiting for a father figure to show him security, to show him that he's strong. Showing strong does not mean that I'm going to come and show them a muscle, because that doesn't mean anything. Do you know that if you show that you're strong to the outside world, and to your children you show that you're weak, they look at you as a weakling. So you could come and you could beat up whoever you want outside, you come home, and you're a little wolf, you're a little cat. There's nothing there. Because if you don't show the strength at home, so then there's nothing there. So children need to feel security. They need to feel secure with what's going on with them at home, to them, the way that you're affecting them, not the way that you're outside. Because outside you could be a big bully, but if you come here all of a sudden you're nothing, so then there's nothing there. Now, why is this so important now? Right?
That's why they be their wife.
Which what?
That's why they be their wife.
By the way, you should know that does not show that you're stronger.
I know.
That does not show that you're stronger.
Shows her
Huh?
Shows her scared.
It shows that you're scared. 100%. You know the famous story that he was with a shoe, and he says, "Don't you dare come underneath this bed, because if not, I'm going to hit you with the shoe." Right? He was hiding under the bed from his wife, right? Because she's telling him, "Get out of here, get out of there." He says, "No, you come down here. I'm gonna." Yeah, he's afraid of the wife. 100%.
Over here under the bed, I'm the boss.
Exactly. 100%. You're the boss underneath. Fine. Now, why is this so important? And I think this is actually one of the most important shiurim, because basically what we're trying to learn is that there's going to be different exercises. So the first exercise that we spoke about is that we have to train the parents. So how do we train the parent? So the parents, that means that we have to train ourselves. We have to train ourselves. What we said was the kviut, tkifut, and regua, which means that we have to actually even prepare ourselves. Tape record yourself and listen to how you sound. Why? If you come and you sound that you're begging them to do something, that's wrong. If you're using ifs, it's wrong. Remember, the second that you say if, it means if you want, you can listen to me, and if you want, you don't need to listen to me. You have to listen to me regardless. So there's no ifs or buts about it. You're going to tell me why, and I have to start explaining, so that I'm not the boss. Because if I have to explain to you logic why I'm telling you something, that's not authority. That's not the boss. Again, naaseh v'nishma. Only after they do something and they do it well, now you could come and you could explain to them what they did, how good it was, because once they already invested, they want to do it. You remember the mashal that we gave last week? If somebody comes and he says to you, listen, I want you to do a Sheva Berachot for me. So if I come in and tell, can you please do the Sheva Berachot for me? Can you please do this? Can you do this? Can you please? And I start, so what happens? You don't even want to hear it because it's nothing there. But if I come and I say, can you do a Sheva Berachot? Or do a Sheva Berachot for me? All of a sudden that's authoritative. I just gave you a command, so now you have to listen. So what happens? After you already do it, if I come and I said, wow, do you know what you just did? You just did this for the Khatam V'Kala, and you just solved Shalom Bayit for this person, and you just did that, you did that. All of a sudden, once they already invested in it, now they want to hear the good out of it, because they already did it. So once they already did it, which is the Naaseh, now I want the Nishma. Now I want to hear Be'emet, what good came out of it. Beforehand, I wasn't interested, because really Be'emet, I didn't really want to do it. But if I'm told to do it, and now I'm going to do it, now I want to hear the good that comes out of it. That's the concept of Naaseh v'Nishma. The being calm is the part of it. Now, the thing is like this. We just said, how are we going to train the parents? How do we train the children? So the children, we already said that to train the children, we're going to come and give them commands. And this was the homework of last week, if you remember. How many people did the homework?
Yeah.
You did it? Yeah? It worked or it didn't work?
I did it. It worked until tonight, but it worked all night.
Okay. But that means, which one?
That's what she came back to.
That's why she came back. Okay, fine. No, but if it worked until tonight, though, that means that it actually worked. Which one? It works. By the way, you should know it works wonders.
If it was my
Okay,
It was weird when it was nice.
it works. With a. I didn't tell you to use it on your wife. I said your child, right? But fine. But if you want, and then it goes afterwards. The truth is, if that works, I allow. Okay, fine. Right? The homework was that you have to give simple commands to your children. Again, it has to be with the tone of authority, not like a little, it has to be with a tone. It has to be with a command, right? It has to be very calm, right? And what is it? For example, right? Which one?
Can we add in the comment affection, like, my love, put your plate in the garbage?
Yes, always. Because that does not mean that you're not the boss. That does not mean that you're not the boss. Right? You're still the boss. You're giving the command.
Can be polite.
But it has to, yeah, also the please. The please also. You should always say the please. Sometimes you could say the please at the end. Sometimes you could say the please at the beginning. But it has to be calm. Now, they're going to test you. Now, if you remember, we already mentioned last time also, right? Many times, and this is what we want right now, we need time, right? The reason why we need time is because we have to start training them, right? And the way to train them is in things where we already know they're not going to listen. Okay? So we're going to take it out to a different level. So for example, beforehand I went and I said, can you give me the cup? Give me the cup.
But he's not Ethan.
Give me the cup.
He asked to Ethan before, Ethan went away.
By the way, he already knows. He already knows. Yeah. He already knows what I was doing, so he was waiting for it. By the way, he should know. He made me laugh, right? And that's okay, because it's okay even if we're going to laugh. It doesn't matter, right? But we just have to continue, right? Until finally they're going to do it. But what happens is you come to a child and you tell them, "Can you please pick up the pen? Pick up the pen, please. Pick up your shoes." You give them a command, right? And again, very authoritative. Not listen. I need the house clean, and we want this. And in order for you to do your homework thing, no, do your homework. Right? Bring me your homework. It's commands. It's not if, what, I'm going to give you a candy, I'm going to bribe you, there's nothing. This is the way. Which one?
They're most likely going to keep going. Till when do you go?
So 1 minute. So the way that we're going to do it is as follows, right? So, first of all, 3 times a day, what you're going to do is get them accustomed to listening to simple commands, not religion, and not something that they're going to not listen. So therefore, the first, and that was last week's homework, which means 3 times every single day, a pen, this. Remember, I told you that some of the rabbis, what they did is purposely, they knocked the pen off the table without them looking. Can you please pick up the pen? You want a glass of water? You could get it up yourself. No, you're not going to. Can you please bring me a glass of water? You come and you ask them for things that it's very easy for them to do, but they're going to listen, and it's a command. You get them accustomed to it. Now what's going to happen is that you're going to come and you're going to do the second step. The second step is really be'emet, the exact opposite, on something which they're not going to listen. So they're in the middle of reading, and you already know they're not going to listen to you. Their head is 100% inside, and you purposely are going to ask them. And you purposely don't care if they're not going to listen to you. Now, why? So now the answer is like this. When you come, right, and you're going to find the time. Now, the reason why you have to find the time is because if you don't have time, you're rushing out, right? So therefore, it's not going to work. So you need time. So the first thing that you're going to come is you're going to go and you're going to say, for example, you have to establish eye contact, right? So you come and you say, you call the name. They come and they look up. You say, I'm speaking to you. They come, they look at you. Once you establish eye contact, you come and you have to give a short, simple, immediate command. You come and you give a command, go to bed. Now, obviously, what's going to happen is, right, they've got 2 choices. They either obey or they don't obey. If they obey, you don't, kol hakavod, don't overdo it. Right? A very simple, good, wink, this, a thumbs up, something very good. Okay? Yeah? What happens if they don't obey? So now what you do is stare and you wait there. Yeah? If I right now took our dear friend Eran and I would have looked down, he won automatically. You have to show authority. Right? He's much bigger than me. He could just step on me and I become a, yeah? But if I stop the stare, he won. So therefore, you have to continue looking at them and you do not lose eye contact. But you're very calm. And you start, right? You start the perek of Tilim, whichever perek that you like. Some people like Shila Ma'alot. Some people like, Mizmor LeTodah. Whichever one that you want, you start thinking in your mind, Mizmor LeTodah. And you're just saying it. The reason why is because you don't want to get bored, number 1. Number 2, it's good actually. So hopefully you're davening the Bemet, they should actually listen. What?
Is there a different approach based on age? Like, do you approach it the same way if they're kids or if they're teenagers or?
We're going to see that this approach applies to every single human being. We'll even get to babies in a few seconds. Remind me and we'll get to babies. Right?
We did I actually did one of the things that you said. I said it straight, like a command. I didn't want him to do something. And like after I guess 3 times I just took him and I put him away and he didn't go back.
Oh, very good.
You guys said it firmly, but I still took him.
No, so the truth is, if you continue doing that with a baby, the way that you're supposed to do it is, right? You right now come and you know that he loves this, I don't know what, this lamp, right? Or the electricity. So what happens is, you bring him right over there, and you're going to let him come. The second he starts coming closer, you tell him, no, do not go over there. You're not allowed to touch it. Now he's going to look at you. He's a little baby. He's not going to understand. He's going to go again, right? You come, you take him away. You do it a second time, a third time. After a few times, you come and you block it, that he can't get there anymore. You do that every once in a while. When they grow up, naturally, he's going to have a wall. What happens when you have, I'm going to ask you a question, right? Because somebody once said that they get frustrated. I'm going to ask you a question. Did you ever see a little child go on this little tiny, this bike in the house, and he starts, riding around, and then he knocks into the wall. What happens? It says beep beep, and what happens? Gets up, and then what does he do? He moves around the wall. Now why? Why doesn't he how many times is he going to continue going into the wall? He'll try 1, 2, 3 times. He realizes there's a brick wall. He's not going to get anywhere. So what happens? He goes around. Imagine Miskena, there was once an Almanah that she always wanted to be nice to her children. So every time that they would get into a thing, she would make a hole so that way he could get through right there. What did that mother just teach the child? There's never a brick wall. So you have to train them to go around. You have to train them, there's going to be a wall in front, there's going to be something in front of them, an obstacle, and they have to sometimes work around it. That's what you have to come and you have to train the child. So then what happens is when we go back to our method, you're going to come and you're going to tell them, you're going to stare them down. Again, an imposing look, you count in your head and you say the pasuk again and again and again, this pasuk, and then what happens? You come and you ask after a few seconds, right, or after even it could be 2 minutes, you come and you ask, did you do what I asked? Again, you're just staring them down. Did you do what I asked? You're going to wait. Majority of the times they're going to say whether, yes or no, or they're going to continue ignoring you, right? Again, you wait again. Then you're going to ask, what did I ask you to do? And again, you're just continuing doing that, right? Then you say, by the way, I'm waiting for you to do X, Y, and Z. I just did it in 3, even if it takes 10 minutes, right? X, Y, and Z. I'm waiting for you to do X, Y, Z. After that, if they still did not listen, you say, I'm very disappointed. This is not acceptable. It's not okay not to listen to your father. And you walk away as if nothing happened. And you do that again and again and again. By the way, you should know, there's nobody that's been stronger than more than 13 times. Usually already by the 3rd time, they will listen. The reason why is because if you come and you stare them down, they feel uncomfortable. I just did it with my son tonight, right? He didn't want to go to bed, right? I went, and right away they was going to start with the ifs or not. I said, no ifs. I told him go to bed. He obviously didn't listen. But again, you keep calm. If you're going to keep calm, right? It's not a power struggle. It's not a fight. Because the second that you come and you start going down to his level, he won. There's nothing to be. Even if he doesn't listen to you, it has nothing to do with you. Remember that the gift of authority is a present. It's the biggest present that you could give to a human being. Because then afterwards they're going to have success in life. They're going to have yirat shamayim. They're going to be, right? They're going to have rules and regulations. Imagine right now you have a person that he never learned rules and now he goes to school, right? It's going to be a jungle for him. It's going to be a nightmare, right? He's going to get married. He thought that he could do whatever he wants and now he's got a controller on top of him. It's going to be a problem. So therefore what happens is that we have to come and start getting them accustomed to authority when they're young, in order when they get older that they'll accept it. So by doing these things, right, we're actually coming and we're changing everything. So now, right, there was a boy, right, this is a 12-year-old boy. So you asked me about whether it's teenagers or other things. 12-year-old boy, his name was Daniel. He was notorious in his school. He had a rage that he was, everyone was terrified of him. One day during math, he snapped. He took the metal desk and he threw it across the room. Okay, a metal desk. Everybody's screaming. The Rabbi ran out of the room. The principal hesitated, didn't know what to do. But they hired a teacher that he was in charge of all these things. Again, professional, that he knew how to do the discipline. So he comes into the room. He doesn't yell, doesn't scream, no lecture, no shame, no nothing. He simply stood there a few feet away from him and he told him, put the desk back. So he screams at him. He says, no. He didn't blink. He didn't care. Right? What happens? Right? He continues. Right? He starts, put the desk back. Leave me alone. Again, breathing as if nothing happening. 20 seconds. Again, Daniel put the desk back. It went for 7 minutes. 7 minutes, the guy was screaming, threats, chaos. He froze. After 7 minutes, he froze. Right? It cracked. He grabbed the desk, lifted it, and he dragged it back to its place. Right? Now again, he didn't do it gently, but he did it. He brought it back. And all of a sudden, he collapsed in the chair and he started crying. He started crying. This boy, this Gibor, right? Everyone's afraid of him. He started crying. So what happens? When the class was dismissed, the mentor sits beside him and he whispered him, no one ever waited for me before. He says, what do you mean? He says, every adult, either they give up or they blow up. You didn't. You stayed until the end. He became the calmest boy in the grade. Why? Someone finally gave him structure, what he needed.
He broke the pattern.
He broke the pattern. He needed that. It was just somebody that had to lock it in. And that's what we're trying to teach our children. When we're coming and we're trying to teach them, so it's actually going to be for ourselves and also for them. So one more time, let's just get it very, very clear, and then we finish up, and then we have questions. You never explain the reason you're giving for the command, right? You never give an immediate yes or no. Remember, if your child asks you, can I have this? Yes, that's wrong. Let me think about it. You think, okay, you already were going to say yes, but you never give them an immediately yes or an immediate no. I'm going to think about it. Let me think.
On any topic?
On anything. Why? Because that's authority. Because if they already know that mommy's going to say yes or daddy's going to say no or vice versa, so then that's not authority. I just need you to say yes so I don't get in trouble. Yeah. No. I'm going to decide whether it's yes or it's going to be no. Right? We have to practice that things that are going to unlikely behave, right? Obey. So that's what we spoke about. You have to stand on command. So number one, as we already mentioned, right? You have to be persistent. Never change. Don't give in. If I said that he's not going to eat, it means he's not going to eat. Even if he goes to bed hungry, doesn't matter. I'm not going to change. Even if it's going to be, right? Whatever it is, I gave a command, you have to clean up the room. Even if he didn't do it, I'm not going to say now you don't have to do it. You leave it in the air. But I never changed the command that I gave. If I told him he has to clean up the room, and right now he's just not going to do it, fine. It's not my problem. I just continue to the next one. But I'm getting them accustomed to obeying. I'm getting them accustomed that from now on they're going to be accepting authority. They're going to be listening. Again, it takes time. It's not overnight, right? But the more that we continue doing that, the more that we're going to do it. So one more time. You have to be persistent. You're going to be very harsh, firm, right? But without raising the voice. Remember, the second that we raise the voice or we show that we're angry, we lost. It becomes a power struggle. And then that's it, we lost the child. Because they won. Because they got us angry. And that's what they're, all the thing. And then they say, but you never loved me. Nothing to do with it. Now you're going to show the love. When you don't do that. Because if you're going to come and you're going to do it and you think that you're loving them by doing that, it's the exact opposite. Right? And many times you'll see that after you show the strength, now they're going to cuddle up to you. Can you just sleep with me until I go to sleep or things like that? And you're like, hey, one second, why is he asking that? He never asked that before. And the reason why is because beforehand you didn't give him security. All of a sudden now you're putting you're putting it down. All of a sudden now they're going to obey. Now they feel secure. They feel secure. They feel that they have an adult with them. They feel that they have a parent that's going to come and that's really an adult that's actually going to take care of them. Right? They feel strong. But that's all depends upon us. So one more time, 3 times every single day, 3 times easy commands to every single one of our children, even if it's going to be infants. After that, a few times a week, that's going to happen on things that we know they're not going to listen. So again, one more time, if you already know that they're not going to listen, you're not going to scream, because you already know that they're not going to listen. So it's not going to start to, you have to listen. No. You put it in your head. They're not going to listen, but I'm purposely doing it. So I'm going to start. You'll be surprised, right? Because you just said that they're not going to listen. After a little while, what happens? They feel uncomfortable. When you start looking at them and you're staring them down, they feel comfortable. So now, what are they going to do? They're either going to obey or they're going to try to get you angry. But they see that they're not winning and getting you angry. So therefore, at the end of the day, they're going to crack. And if they don't crack the first time or the third time or the 10th time, but after 13, it doesn't exist. They will crack and they will do exactly what you want. So I want you guys to test it and I want you guys to do the homework. And then, Bezrat Hashem, you're going to come back next week. You're going to tell me, okay, did it work or didn't it work? Until now, everyone told me that it did work, right? Okay, you told me about the wife instead of the children, but okay, same thing, right? But it does work, right? Okay, fine.
Make sure the kids are not watching the video.
It's about a command only, or if they made comment je dis a mistake?
Yeah.
Like my daughter, she emptied all the bath on the floor. So it's not a comment, but it's I have a reaction. Of course, I'm not going to stay calm. Clean up. Like for sure, I need to scream.
So I'm going to tell you like this. Even though you're going to scream from your reaction, but I'm going to ask you the truth now. Does it help to scream?
I'm gonna shock her to not doing again this.
It's a Moroccan thing.
More of a shock of not doing it again is that the command of her doing it and the work that she's doing it is worse than the shock that you scared her.
Yeah, but Rabbi, there's an issue. There's sometimes things that they do where when you see it, you can, if you're looking from the side, you literally see the medication in the parents' eyes stop working. So there is.
Before they were talking about medication for the children, now we're talking about medication for the parents.
you see literally a switch. You see
So I'm going to tell
an
you
entity
that.
come in.
So you're right. Do you know that there was a test done? And by the way, you should know this is a question that we ask ourselves. The discipline starts by the parents.
You lose.
The discipline starts by the parents. What does that mean? I'll give you an example.
Burns.
Right, thank you. I'll give you an example. The discipline that starts by the parents is, for example, if you take that, any Gemara if you want, and you open it up, I don't know if you realize, the first 2 or 3 pages, they're very, it's worn out. After that, it's not. Why?
It starts.
Because we always start something and we don't finish.
Yes.
The discipline starts with us. And therefore, it's a problem in us. It's not a problem with them. Because the expression, don't cry over spilled milk, is not only about milk. It's about the water of the bathtub as well. You're right, it's difficult. And especially for women that they want the house to be clean and they don't want to, and again, it's overwhelming. But there's more, right? There's much more.
You wanted the cup. You got the cup.
Drink it.
Yeah, there's.
Drink it.
Not gonna give up. Fight.
It's a comment.
Okay.
Drink it.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine. So what happens? What happens is that all of a sudden people will realize, the child will realize that you're serious about it. And if you're serious about it and you get them to clean them up, they won't do it on their own. Right? They won't do it on their own. You're right. Okay, fine. You're going to come, you're going to scream. It's automatic. If it's a natural instinct, that's fine. We all make mistakes. You can make that mistake of screaming because something just happened. Yeah, 100%. It's a natural instinct. But if you really think about it, you're not gaining it. You're not gaining by screaming and then trying to get them to clean it up.
Okay, but maybe because I was calm, it's authorized her to do it again. Okay.
No. Because when you show firm, again, calm, there's a difference between the calmness and the firmness. Firmness means I could come and I look at you and I'm going to be very, very strong, do this. Yeah? Nothing to do with the, now I realize it's not, right? When you have an officer that he's going to stop you, he does not have to scream. A police officer will tell you, stop. Put your hands up, right? You have the right to remain silent. He doesn't have to scream. Why doesn't he have to scream? Because that's not authority. If he starts screaming, what's going on over here? He does not need to scream. He has to be very calm. And if he gets nervous, he gets me nervous. And that's not good. So if you're all nervous, right? So imagine the girl. So she's also. And then it's a cycle. So therefore, what you always have to keep is keep the calm, right? And once it's going to be calm, right? Then we work. But again, it's a work in progress. What do we say?
Keep calm, keep going.
The training starts with us and it continues with the children.
So what's she supposed to do?
Yeah, that's my question.
And now the kid is 3.
Take
They're
a shower.
laughing.
No more bath.
So they're laughing. So now you say, okay, it's not actually that funny. Go clean it up.
They're not doing it. And now
Okay.
You stare them down. Go clean it up. You continue going until they're actually going to clean them up. I'm going to ask you a question. What did it help out to scream until finally they clean it up? So they didn't learn authority. They learned that if I've got somebody that's screaming at me like, I don't know what, I don't even want to hear the screams. I'll just do it just that way. Just keep it down. Something really bemet, you're the boss or not the boss. Just keep it down.
No, she
Did you realize the first 2 stories that I gave tonight? Did you realize what happened? This guy that he didn't take any authority whatsoever, all of a sudden I became his boss. When I became his boss and therefore he listens to authority, beforehand he was throwing at me things. And all of a sudden he's running to get a rag to clean the table. What happened? What happened was I changed the perspective. Beforehand, as you being a mother, okay, you're the mommy. But at the end of the day, you have to take care of me. So therefore I'm going to come and tell you now what to do. And you're like, excuse me, I'm the boss. No, they're the bosses, right? Because they're going to tell you that they want to eat now. They're going to tell you even though it's not time to eat. They're going to tell you that I want to read now, even though it's not time to read. And they're going to tell you where they want to go. And now you're just going to say, okay, fine. Instead of the tantrum, I'm going to take them where they want to go. Who's the boss? It's not us. It's them. So therefore, in order for us to put back authority into the house and show that we are the boss, again, never lose your cool. You have to be very, very calm, and you have to continue doing it. In this case of the water, I would stand there for the 10 minutes until they actually do it. You understand? Until they break.
Negotiating.
Which one?
They're gonna start negotiating. Okay, I'm first gonna start, I don't know, doing what, you still stand there and stare?
Yeah.
No response.
No response, right? What you continue to is keep repeating what you're saying in different words.
Like,
Like what I told you. I said, did you do what I asked? Right? Right? What did I ask you to do? I'm waiting for you to do this.
give you an example. Tonight, I needed to get Joshi into the shower. He didn't want to shower. I tell him get into the shower. He didn't want to shower. He says, okay, no, I don't want to shower. I said, no, you're gonna get into the shower now. He says, no, okay, at least let me go get my toy. Do I let him get the toy?
No. You just showed him that he's the boss because it just came on his terms, not on your terms.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Bring him the toy after. But instead then get into the shower. You get his toy, break it, be nice or no?
Yeah, or maybe your wife could bring it. That it's not even you. Then all of a sudden she just comes. So it doesn't look like you're the one that's bringing it. Because if right now that means it's on their terms. Again, it's not on their terms. It's on your terms, right? I'm gonna ask you a question. Your boss. Why do you guys look at it this way? Let's go, Eitan. I'm sorry to use you as the guinea pig. Yeah. How many? What? Oh, which one? Right? You got people that are working under you? Yes. Okay. Fine. Imagine right now I'm your secretary, right? And you come and you tell me, listen, right? I need this to be done at 12 o'clock. I tell you, no, I'm sorry, right? I've got lunch at 12. I'm gonna give you a 12:30. What are you gonna tell me?
Okay. Eitan is gonna say okay.
I don't think so. I know Eitan very well. I don't think he's gonna say that.
Go to lunch at 12.
Huh? She doesn't know you, exactly. Why? If he's going to come and he's going to say, okay, you know what happens now? The next time he's going to ask it to me, he's gonna tell me at 4:30. He's gonna tell me at 4:30, right? He's gonna tell me at 4:30, and I'm telling you, no, I'm leaving early from work today. I'll only give it to you tomorrow. He's gonna say, it doesn't exist. If he's going to let go, he knows he lost full authority. Full authority means your boss tells you to do something, you do it no matter what. There's no ifs, buts, or no, I'm gonna do half. Now the truth is, it sounds very funny, but this is how we act with Hashem. What does the Torah tell us? What is a mumar ledavar echad? You come and you accept everything in the Torah, b'layin hara, there's 630 mitzvot. If I accept, imagine, 612, and for one mitzvah, I say to Hashem, you know what? I'm just going to speak Lashon Hara. Everything else I'll do. I'm the biggest tzaddik. I'm Shomer Shabbat with every single chumrah of the Chazon Ish and this. I'm not going to open up fridge. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to be like this the entire Shabbat. Right? Every mitzvah in the Torah, except for one thing. What did I just say? I'm a mumar ledavar echad. Why am I mumar ledavar echad? Because I just showed that I don't have authority. He's not my boss. Because if he's my boss, I have to listen. So since when can I tell my boss, right? He tells you, tomorrow morning I need you here at 9 o'clock. Be sharp. I'm coming at 9:30. Your boss is going to tell you, excuse me? He says, yeah, I'm coming at 9:30. Look for a new job. Why? You're not going to tell that to your boss. You have to accept authority. Why is your child any different? You are the boss.
It's hard for a child to be always, not to keep the rules, but to have a mommy to be firm always.
I never told you, right? I never told you to be firm always. What I told you is that they have to learn who's the boss. You're supposed to play with them. As a mommy, you're supposed to come, you're supposed to go on all four, go on the floor, play with them, take them out, do everything. Nobody ever said no, the opposite. You're supposed to do, that's your job. But they have to listen to you. There's no. But she meant if no, she's talking about the if. Don't say if to them. No, but meaning that what happens is that they have to understand. There's no ifs, no buts, no nothing. Yeah. Yeah, you understand? You're supposed to be very nice to your children. You always have to be nice to your children. You have to sing with your children. You have to play with your children. Do everything with your children. But they know what you say. There's nothing what changes. What you say is a command. That's it. There's nothing what changes. But if not, then it's a joke. So then they're the boss, and you're just you're the child, and they're the boss. You understand? And that's what happens. Sometimes they come and they do that.
So in the first
Grab the stick.
you gave an example where you said like be firm, but then show love. Like I don't know
Exactly
exactly how you said it.
And then you
So
explain.
in the example you said she's firm for 10 minutes, and then the kids finally picked everything
up, and now you come and you show them the love. You show them that we're going to now play. We're gonna not why, but you're not gonna start punishing them, right? If she didn't do it on purpose, if she did it on purpose, it's a little bit different. But I had a question. Somebody asked me this question.